are overseen by the Missouri State Tax Commission. The Missouri State Tax Commission does, we'll call it an audit, and what they're looking at is the percentage of property value that they think your county has for which you are assessing. Now, this is actually a really important question because it came up in the funding formula for our schools. Anybody want to guess what percentage of your property tax goes to schools? In most areas, it's up to 70% when you include special school district and community college. What's happening right now in Jeff City when they're redoing the funding formula is that I think it was something like 60 to 80% of the counties in the state were undervaluing their properties. And what does that mean? They get more money from the state for their education, which leaves a higher cost burden on communities like St. Louis County, who is in some places overassessed, in some places perhaps underassessed, but we are working to that statistical formula. This is a fundamental unfairness, and it's putting process over people, and this is what we've been doing for 15 years. I find that to be very unfair. Friends and neighbors, it doesn't have to be like this. The St. Louis County Assessor has all the authority in the world to take your phone call and have you in the office when you disagree about an appraisal. What's happening right now is our St. Louis County Assessor and the next St. Louis is not going to the state and saying, look, this is fundamentally unfair. How come St. Louis has to do everything right and our taxpayers have to do everything right? Our schools are getting money taken out of their pockets by Jeff City, and all these other rural counties around the state get to do whatever they want. That is fundamentally unfair, and I think St. Louis, as the largest jurisdiction in the state, should have an outsized voice in Jeff City about what's going on with all these policies. The fact that we are defunding our schools, which is the largest percentage of our property taxes, so that out counties in rural Missouri can have lower taxes on their rural property, which is zoned ag, which is already a low assessment, to me is fundamentally unfair. When I talk about being an advocate for the taxpayer, I mean that when the investor moves in next door to the grandma who's lived there for 50 years, I'm talking about those two properties are not the same. I'm sorry. The investor who's renting it out can get a much higher property. That's a commercial property. The grandma who's been in her house for 50 years, she gets to stay there. Thank you so much.